Okay, here we go. The A chord and the E chord. Start with the A. You have first finger, third string, second fret. Your second finger goes on the string above it, second fret, fourth string. Third finger goes on the string below it, on the second string, all in the second fret. And you strum from the fifth string down. And that's your A chord. Just those three fingers. Now when you to get all fingers in that second fret, after you put your finger on the third string or second fret there, slide it backwards away from that fret, just so you can get the other fingers in front of it. The second finger on the string above it, the third finger on the string below it, which is the second string, second finger on the fourth string again, and strum all five strings from the fifth string down. That's your A chord. Now push your hand out at the bottom so that the fingers are not laying on the lower strings, and you just use the tip of your finger right next to the nail to place on the string, so kind of straight down, and then hand out, and there's your chord. So remember, first finger goes down, slide it backwards, get these other fingers in there behind the second fret, and then you can slide them back forward to position them to get a clearer sound. Now there's different ways to play the A chord, but this is the way I use all the time. Once in a while I'll do what I've heard called a cheating A, which is just laying your first finger across the fourth, third, and second strings and letting it lay loose on the first string to mute it. Pressing down on all three strings, use your thumb in the back of the neck to pinch them, to pinch the strings, and to get that finger lined up with the second fret on the fourth, third, and second strings. And there's your A chord. Now in the you don't want to hear that first string, so kind of lift it up there at the bottom. That's a note that doesn't belong in the chord. But that's just another way to play the A chord. Now, in the old days, old timers would play it with this finger down and your pinky way over on the fifth fret of the first string. Now that's another A chord. It's an A chord, but it doesn't have the same sound as the regular A that they use today everywhere. Now you can line your fingers up different, whatever works for you. Some people will use one finger to push two strings down if your fingers are big enough. Just center it between two strings to get them both down, and then push the third string down with the second finger. Mine won't work that way, but I've heard people do that. But that's your A chord. First finger, and then the second one above it, third one below it. Now to get to the E chord, to play an E chord, that's on the first finger on the third string, slide it back. Take your fingers off, take the second and third finger off, slide the first finger back on the third string, or if your hand's already off, just put your first finger on the third string, first fret. And then the second finger on the fifth string, second fret. Fourth string is for your third finger, and that's your E chord. You strum all six strings. So let's do the E chord again. First finger goes down on the third string, first fret. Second finger, fifth string, second fret. Third finger, fourth string, second fret. And that's and strum all six strings. Now keep the first finger down. Raise up the second and third finger, and then slide your first finger into the second fret, just over the fret line, and then put your second finger on the string above it, third finger on the string below it, all in the second fret, and that's your A chord from the 5th string down. And that's how you can alternate from E to A back and forth in those two chords. So there's your A. Remember to keep your hand out at the bottom so your fingers are going straight down on the strings. And then to go back to E, lift your second and third finger up off, slide your first finger back, and then the second finger goes down on the 5th string in the 2nd fret, 4th finger down on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and there's your E chord. Now if you learn to do this, it helps you to know where your hand is so you don't have to look at it when you change chords. If one of your fingers stays in contact with your guitar, changing chords, there's your E, going back to A, lift your second and third finger, slide the first one over the fret line, keep the room for the second finger and the third finger to go down on the strings above and below it, and there's back to your A. So A to E, and then you just get used to going back and forth between those two that way. Now release the pressure a little and slide your finger to be able to slide your finger back across that fret line, and then drop the other two down in the position for the E chord on the 5th and 4th string, 2nd fret. And once you get them down, then you can slide them into position close to those fret lines to make it easier to play the chord so you don't have to push down as hard on the strings. So there's your E, and then over the line, but stay back for room for the other fingers. There's your A chord. Now switching to your other, let's go over your other chords real fast. The G chord, 2 fingers on the bottom 2 strings, 3rd fret. First finger 5th string, 2nd fret. 2nd finger 6th string, 3rd fret. You know the G chord. To go from G to D, you just lift these 1st and 2nd fingers up, drop them back down, and then keeping that 2nd finger there on the D chord and switching to G is how you know to find those 2 chords. So it depends on what 2 chords you go to and from to what fingers are going to stay down. So I go from this 4-finger G down to D, then those 2 fingers come up and drop down in position on the 2nd fret for the D chord and lift the pinky. And that's how I'm able to find the D. Drop the pinky back down, take the 2 fingers back up to the G chord position, and you can switch back and forth without looking between those 2. So if you go from G to D, and then you're going to go from D to A, you lift your 2nd and 3rd finger up, keep your 1st finger down in the 3rd string where it's supposed to be, just slide it back to make room, and put your 2nd finger above it, 3rd finger below it, and there's your A chord. So you keep your 1st finger down in your A chord position. Let's do the A to D. 1st finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Now we're doing the A. The 2nd finger goes above it, the 3rd finger goes below it. Keep them, then you move them close to the fret. There's your A. Now let's go from A to D. You lift your 2nd and 3rd fingers up. Slide your 1st finger forward over the fret line. Am I doing? No, you don't do that. Sorry, let's start over. Sorry, that's wrong, and I'm not doing this video over again. so let's get back to A position. Okay, your A chord. Sorry, lift your 2nd and 3rd finger up. You drop your 2nd finger down on the 1st string, 2nd fret. 3rd finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret. And that's your D chord. I'll go over that again, sorry. But your 1st finger stays down. Slide it back a little in that fret area so your other fingers can go above and below it to make the A chord. And then to go from A to D, 2nd and 3rd finger comes up, 2nd finger goes down on the 1st fret, 1st string, 2nd fret, and the third finger goes to third fret on the second string. You know the D chord. I'm just showing you how to find it from the A. And back and forth from D to A or A to D, that first finger stays where it's at. There's your D. You switch the second and third finger into the first or second fret to make the A chord. So there's your D to A. D, A, back to D. You know the D position. Your first finger is already in position. Put the second finger down, third finger down for the D chord. There's D, then back to A. You keep the first finger down, second finger above it, third finger below it. Remember to keep room to slide these, to get them all in the fret. And when you go to the back to the D, again, you can position them a little closer to the fret line if you need to. But that's D to A. That's how to switch between those two chords. And to go from A back to E that we started in the beginning, lift the second and third finger up, slide the first finger over the fret line, and then the second finger fifth string, third finger fourth string, both on the second fret. Strum all six. There's your E. E, back to A, go across the fret line. The other two back down above and below it. A. And then go to D. Lift the second and third finger up again into the D position. Bottom string, second string, and the third fret. And there's your D. And then there's the A minor and E minor. Now sometimes you'll just have to find your chords, your E minor. You know the E minor chord. A minor is, you're going to have to move your fingers here. At least they're open chords, you know the A minor chord. The E minor, from E minor to A minor, you just move the, use your second and third finger on the E minor chord. And you know your E to E minor. But from E minor to A minor, you just move both of those fingers, the second and third, down one string each. And then you drop your first finger to the second string, first fret, and there's your A minor. So that's an easy transition from E minor to A minor and back to E minor. Just move the second and third fingers up and raise up the first finger. There's, it's just ways to go from there to A minor. And then sometimes from C, you can go to D7. So let's do the C chord. And then to go to D7, you can choose D7 over D, whichever it calls for. It's not really matter if it's just you playing and singing. You just have to be used to the pitch difference and choose what's better for you, what you like the best. There's C to D7 because your first finger is already in position. So for the D7, with your first finger in position, your second finger goes in the third string, second fret, third finger on the first string, second fret, and that's just a way to find the D7 from the C. Now to go from C to D, you're just going to have to, you get used to just by practice. Lift your hand up, just drop them down, the first finger and second finger where they go on the second fret, and then add the third finger, and you just get used to it. It's just muscle memory. Your fingers will know where to go after a little while for the D chord. And then from D to G, and the A chord to the E, and back to A, and then the D. Three chord songs in the key of A is A, D, and E. So you could start on the A. Takes practice, but I would work on those. Once you get those two chords down, work on keeping that first finger, using it to slide to know where you're at. And I hope you enjoy coming up with some songs. Anyway, hope that helps.